Support for this program comes from Roxanne Elder and Scott Borders.
Why many people are struggling to afford housing in a boomtown. Low-income minorities pushed out of their homes because of gentrification.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem across.
A new report from the Austin Board of Realtors shows which parts of Austin are seeing the worst shortages in housing supply.
We know that there are residents who are feeling the burden of displacement pressures. Our goal is to help them remain in their homes and communities. I'm pleased to be here today to announce a new pilot program. The Displacement Prevention Navigator Pilot Program works to help renters and homeowners stay in their homes by connecting residents with housing resources.
I'll come back for the box.
It's not always easy for households to know all about the tons of city programs that we have available. So that's why these navigators are key, because they're going to have those in-person conversations, directing folks to our housing programs.
Good. Yeah, when there's one, I'm trying to find.
Just for clarification, that means that as of now, this program would only be in effect until June of 2024. Depending on how it goes and how much there is of a need, that's when you guys will determine whether or not to extend.
That is correct.
So, first question, what is Dove Springs and where is it?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's not as simple as it sounds.
Good boy. Good boy.
Good morning, Maria. Doing okay? How are you?
My name is Lila Valencia, and I'm the demographer at the City of Austin. Oftentimes, people will define Dove Springs, the neighborhood, sort of as the zip code 78744, around Ben White at the north, over to about Frederick Lane, Pleasant Valley, down to William Cannon, and then over to I-35 in the west. Around 1970, portions of what we now call Dove Springs were annexed. The closer you were to the northern part of Dove Springs, more often you were white, had higher wages, and as you moved farther out, then we saw a lot of increases in especially the share of African Americans, the share of immigrant population.
Adentro está fresco, casi caliente.
Now we know that about 77% of residents are of Hispanic background.
I came in '97. Everything reminded me of Mexico. Everything was green.
I remember on Sunday mornings, I would walk the street, the neighborhood, early in the morning, and you would smell the tortillas or the chorizo and eggs, or the food just cooking, and you're like, oh man, they're cooking it up today.
And in the hot summers, we would put Dawn soap on the sidewalk, I kid you not, and we would do slip and slides. It was amazing.
Hey!
If you go outside, you see all of us out there playing sports, for sure. If you go around the corner and you see a little gang activity, I think we're the first neighborhood in Austin to have a curfew.
I feel like there was areas or parts of town that they'd be like, oh, don't go there, that's dangerous. And believe it or not, Dove Springs was like one of them for a while. Like, when people are like, oh, you were up there, it's like, oh.
In like 95, it was a Stop and Go.
Stop and Go was open 24/7. So gang members would hang out.
They put big old speakers on the light poles and they would play opera music. So nobody even wanted to hang out. And they would do it, they'll turn it up, be like, man, and everybody would burn off, like, man, we won't be here, baby.
I've always felt safe, like in the street where my parents live in. It's all mainly families. Like everybody knows each other.
You pass by, hi, buenos dias, how are you doing? You know, everything was very friendly.
It was very family oriented. It still is family oriented, and that's what keeps you going about Dove Springs. It's all about people. It's all about the community. It's all about family.
Even today, it's still more affordable to find places to live there than in the rest of Austin. But because of that, we're really seeing some pressures into that area.
It was a little bit of a change, little by little. But when it really hit me was when there was a bus picking up a dog for obedience school. I was like, are you serious? There's actually a school bus for dogs. I'm like, if this is not gentrification, what is?
I realized a lot of like families that were there were gone. And I was like, what? Like, where do they go?
My parents bought the home pretty early, like in the early 2010s. But my family that was renting, that was just outside of their budget. They had to leave the area. They just couldn't afford here. They couldn't afford a home.
A friend of mine said this is the last hood in Austin, the last real hood. And you think about that, it's like he's right, because we're the last ones. Montopolis and East Austin, I mean, gentrification went crazy there.
There's a lot of culture in these neighborhoods, and for many people, these were sort of the last options. These were places where people could afford, and in some cases they are still today, but the housing costs in these neighborhoods have gone up astronomically, as they have across the city.
Keep in touch with me throughout the day. And then
My name is Audrey McGlinchey. I'm the housing reporter here at KUT. Really, since about 2010, housing prices in Austin have been steadily rising. And then when we hit the pandemic, 2020, 2021, things really took off. We saw prices for homes for sale and also apartments for rent rise by about 25–30% in 1 year, which is pretty incredible. Before that, it was about 5 to 10% every year. Places don't grow the way that Austin has, I will say. About every 2 decades, Austin almost doubles its population, which you really don't find in other cities. So if a ton of people move to a city, then you need housing for those people. We have not built quite enough housing to keep up with that. It takes more time to build housing, right? I could easily move to a new city, tomorrow if I want to, but I can't build an apartment building in 1 day. And so what you see and what we have seen are price increases. Hey Robbie, this is Audrey with KUT. I was just calling to see if I could get an updated list of... So I just recently did a story about people who spend more than 30% of their income on rent. That's really how many housing experts, it's how the federal government defines what they call cost burden, which basically means you're living in housing you cannot afford. But for many people, that's just the reality. If they want housing, they have to pay a large chunk of their income towards it, which in the Austin area is about half of all renters. We see this play out in really every city. When one part of town gets more expensive, people generally move to lower income neighborhoods. And that increases the population demand in those neighborhoods. That increases the need for more housing. In the case where more housing is not built, that we can sometimes see the effect of that, of pushing out the people already living there. The City Council has tried to pass some changes.
Today is an exciting day. We are here to launch the Displacement Prevention Navigator Program, and we certainly need your help.
In 2023, the City of Austin started a pilot program where it paid people to help inform their neighbors about various housing programs.
The Displacement Prevention Navigator Program will focus initially on 2 neighborhoods, Colony Park and Dove Springs.
You want to head down to the field. Egg hunt starting in 5 minutes.
Compared to the rest of Austin, Colony Park and Dove Springs have higher shares of cost-burdened residents and residents who have also lived in their homes for more than 20 years.
Oh, we get years. I'm constantly talking to my family about Austin being gentrified and the housing issues, not only in Austin, but in the nation. My sister saw a posting about this job and she sent it to me. She was like, "You're always talking about this, so I thought you would enjoy this."
I was born and raised in Dove Springs. I've seen how much displacement has happened. So I heard about the program. I was like, okay, this is maybe something that I can do on my spare time to kind of just help my community stay in their homes.
I heard about the program through a job posting. It talked about displacement, it talked about advocating for individuals, and I have a passion for that because I have a background in that area. And I have a passion for Dove Springs. I grew up in that area.
I want to keep families that have been there for generations in the neighborhoods that they really help create. To me, it seemed really unfair for them to have to leave or move somewhere else when that's all they've known. Dove Springs is my home. I was born and raised, grew up here, so I was like, yes, I want to sign up for that immediately.
He looks like a little rabbit.
Hi, my name is Alejandra.
So my name is Amy Perez.
So my name is Sylvia Subieta Rodriguez, and I am a displacement navigator. Or no.
What am I? What did that? I just said the displacement.
Displacement prevention navigator. I'm so sorry. It's a long title.
I work for the Displacement Prevention Program for the City of Austin.
I'm one of the displacement program navigators here for the City of Austin.
All right, I can do this. Hi, I'm Rachel Salgado. I am a navigator, and I work towards helping people from becoming displaced.
We refer people to resources within the community, and then that has our locations and hours if you know anyone that needs help.
Our job mainly consists of 2 parts. So the first one is going to outreach events, and we talk to them about the program. The other part of that would be following up and see what we can help them with.
So that's kind of like our main goal, is just to keep people in the areas that are their homes.
Oh, I love it.
Sucking my stomach.
At the beginning, we were focusing on housing resources, but we figured out that housing includes food, shelter, repairs.
We can help anybody from food stamps, create a budget, advocacy. We've helped many people go to the Texas workforce and teach them how to apply for unemployment. We've helped many people apply for jobs. We did everything because the goal is to keep them from being displaced.
No, I'm talking about the new, because they had to go to a new apartment or a new duplex that only had 2 rooms for 6 people.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, once she breaks that lease.
The primary need is rental assistance.
Rental assistance, we constantly get people that need help with rent.
And that's been a little bit harder to come by. Rental assistance gets taken up pretty quickly because of the just vast amount of need.
Sometimes they just didn't have the rent, and it's not because they weren't trying, it was because their money wasn't covering everything. Sometimes it jumps like $50, sometimes it jumps like 20, sometimes it jumps like 100, and who's prepared for that?
I'm a renter myself, so I feel those price increases as well, and it's hard.
There are a lot of different programs, but they don't meet the need. We have many nonprofits in the Austin area that build income-restricted housing, right? But again, according to some counts, we're missing tens of thousands of these kinds of apartments. We have, federally funded programs, things like housing vouchers, where basically you can go to a landlord and say, I have this ticket, if you will, that says I only have to pay 30% of my income towards rent, and the government will pay the rest. Can I live here? One of the biggest challenges is even getting that voucher.
The Section 8 wait list hardly opens. When people do get vouchers, it's harder for them to find housing because not everyone takes Section 8.
I've been here for a week. I backdoored 3 days straight till 5 in the morning putting my house together. I did it for my kids, I did it for my sanity. I wanted to feel home. I wanted to feel at home, and if I would have let the depression get to me and all of the things that I had to go through to get here, I'd probably be still sitting in boxes. So this moving process has not been fun. It's been quite depressing. At one point, my speech when I was looking for an apartment was, hi, my name is Jessica Vasquez. I'm on Section 8. I'm a single mother of 3 kids. I'm a non-smoker, no pets. I'm very clean, been at my job for 2 years. That sucks, that I had to sell myself to be able to get a place to stay, but I had to do it. There's not a lot of apartments or places that want to take Section 8. I did not want to move. This box is annoying. I don't know how to get into it. I've been a resident for 8 years at my apartment homes. I considered it my home, not just a place to rent. And this year, I was told that they would not be renewing my lease. There was no specific reason given, it's just we're not gonna renew, and in the state of Texas, they have that option. If I did not find a place, I would have lost my voucher. No more Section 8. You would be homeless. It's not like I can walk into anywhere and be like, oh, hey, I like that apartment. Can I sign it? Like a normal person. Say that again? You call and you call and you call. And about 50% of them tell you, no, we're not taking it. And then the other 20% have a waiting list. You have to meet certain requirements in certain apartments. Some apartments telling you that you still have to make the 2 times the rent or the 3 times the rent. Now, how does that work for a person on Section 8? If I send them back, that's another hour of loading and an hour of unloading. That's $200 more. And I was just trying to hustle my time. Section 8 doesn't pay for your light, your water, your gas. They pay specifically only the rent. we still have a rent portion to be responsible for. You gotta have the deposit. Section 8 doesn't pay that for you. Plus your movers, that's a lot right there. I do work. I just can't make all of the ends meet right now because Austin is just ridiculously expensive.
Other cities have laws that prohibit landlords from discriminating based on income. And that's in part to stop landlords from discriminating against people who have housing vouchers.
Morning, I'm Austin Mayor Lee Leffingwell. We'll begin with the invocation.
About a decade ago, Austin City Council did pass that law, but it was later overturned. And so landlords have the right to say, I don't want to rent to someone who has a voucher. I should also say one of the biggest challenges is even getting that voucher. People spend years on these wait lists, so you finally get that voucher and then you struggle to find someone who will accept it.
With Travis County Section 8, you can only stay in Travis County, which is super hard because, again, it's super expensive. I probably had more options in Buter and college, but I would have had to transfer my entire case to a new caseworker and to a new county, which I don't know how that flow goes. And to be quite frank, I was scared that in the mix of that, some paperwork got lost or no, you can't transfer. And then before you know it, you're in limbo, nobody's helping you. I'm her. Once you find a place, they have 15 days to approve it. I couldn't have 2 inspection packets out. This I can take. If it's not approved, there's no backup plan. They inspected my unit, I believe, the 28th, and I moved in on the 31st. I'll unload it, just push it over there. Those were the most stressful 3 days of my life. I did not know where I was gonna go, what my options were gonna be, or what I was gonna do. I'm exhausted, like I'm literally about to wanna cry and give up, but that is not an option. What is in here? It sounds all broken. Oh, it's the kitchen. We can have a working situation. If you're not strong enough, mental health will break you. Houses are almost at $400,000. I can't afford that. I don't have a career, I'm not a doctor. Oh, man. I'm just a normal person.
You already have your ID. You already did basically the hard work. I'm just going to go behind you and be like, hey, we need to fix this. And then food services. So what he's applying for is electricity assistance and gas assistance. So that's for that. I know how it feels not to have lights. I know how it feels not to have food because I was in house. It was just an unsafe situation, so I decided to leave home at the age of 12 or 13. So we'll do that. They can tell I know how they feel, and they can see the realness. You have her lights number? Okay. He's gonna get it. Everything's gone up. You know, electricity has risen. The gas in the house has risen. A lot of people are in survival mode. So just by keeping them with their electricity is making a huge difference, and they depend on that. All right. I'm a hugger, so is that against the rules? Okay. If you can't pay your light bill, that causes a lot of stress. Thank you for coming. It's a lot.
Eso de que, no sé, a quién le corresponda mirar por qué sale tanto de luz, porque cuál es la ayuda, querrán que nos vayamos de homeless. Mi nombre es Berta Hernández, tengo 65 años. Vendo tamales y vendo pupusas. Pues que me los compren. Es la parte favorita. Es una ayuda grande para mí. La luz está saliendo carísima. Como te digo, me salieron casi $1,000. Entonces, ¿de dónde los voy a contar?
What scientists talk about is a positive feedback loop. So it gets warmer, so we cool more, so we use more energy. I'm Zoltan Nagy, I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Texas. So we study how buildings respond to energy, particularly under climate change. We try to understand who is impacted and how much. What heat does is it wants to get into your house. Older homes are particularly vulnerable to this. Plus, of course, over time you deteriorate. So anything built before the 80s is probably not even insulated at this point.
La casa, aunque también es vieja y no está bien aislada.
The only thing you can do is have a better AC and better insulation. The problem is that it's very expensive.
You got people making anywhere average of $47,000 a year to $55,000 a year. Can't afford that.
O sea, todos los cuartos tienen aire de ese, pero pues no siempre están prendidos porque yo de mí no gasto mucho. Cuando yo cocino, estoy aquí, yo lo apago. ¿Pagas la renta o pagas la luz? Lo difícil es salir afuera a venderlos. Que yo voy y los ofrezco a las tiendas, a los lugares donde hay trabajadores. Ahorita, como estaba el calor, no puedo salir a vender. Lo más me preocupa porque no puedo salir a hacer el negocio que yo necesito hacer para sacar el dinero que tengo. No veo que pueda cambiar mi situación. Sé que toda la gente tiene que salir adelante, entonces es difícil que alguien te pueda ayudar. Porque los que nos comprendemos somos los mismos que no tenemos dinero.
It's very stressful, especially if you're a single mom or a single dad, and then you have to figure out how to pay your rent, and then you have to figure out how to pay that light bill. So on top of making sure you have food, making sure you got to pick up the kids, making sure the laundry's done. So it's extremely stressful for an individual. But we relieve the stress. When they come talk to us, you can just tell by their features. They just sit down and the first thing they do is, okay, because they know we're going to do the work for them, as we should, because that's what we're doing, and we want them to relax. We want to take that stress away from them. This first year was just laying that foundation, you know, just getting people to get to know us, to trust us. We're heading towards the end of the funding cycle. They've talked to us about going to the second phase, so we're just waiting for confirmation in regards to that. I do feel optimistic because we were told that there was funding set aside. However, now I'm feeling a little uncertain, but I still have faith in the program. That's my concern, that no one's going to be there to guide the people that do come in when they're ready, because it's about trust.
Porque hay más cosas en inglés que en español cuando lo googlean. Déjame checar.
This community is primarily Hispanic. Something I encounter is helping our Spanish-speaking families. I know lately there's been a lot of fear, you know, oh, maybe I may not be eligible, or maybe if I'm in a change of immigration status, that might affect me.
Pero sí, si necesita ayuda con reparación de casas, por favor.
One of the biggest things that I advocate for is immigrant rights. A lot of things that I see is that they don't want to ask for assistance. They don't know what type of assistance they can get. A lot of the assistance is limited for them. So a lot of the things that we would refer citizens to, we cannot refer to undocumented immigrants or mixed status families. There are a lot of programs out there that they can have, but they're scared to apply.
Look, this is the Mendes.
One of the great things about Austin is that it is more immigrant friendly.
Look at this, Silvia.
One of the reasons Austin's a lot safer for immigrants is because of work that my mom or other people in the immigrant community have done.
My legal name is Maria del Carmen Rodriguez, but that one is say Carmen Subieta because it's the way the community know me. I was enrolled with immigrant community to know our rights. This is for good day. I live for 30 years in this area. A lot of Latino community in here, so it was very family, very friendly. We feel in our space, so it was very nice. So what happened? The original people, so the people who wasn't here before, they kick out the more fast they wanted to make this city bigger and expensive. When we moved into this house, the renting in some places, it was $900. Now it's $2,500 or even more. It's difficult. Normally the Latinos, our house is passed for the next generations. Now, no. Because the people can't afford it. You know, people like my husband and I, we're still here because we still have a child who's going to school in here. But I hope we can wait to move it until he went to college because the taxes went too high. Nobody can afford it.
What attracts immigrant populations to areas like that is the same thing that attracts people who need affordable housing, right? There's going to be more affordable housing there. And so I think when immigrants first arrived there, many of them were able to stay there for generations.
We live in a country where really homeownership is one of the fastest and most secure ways to accumulate generational wealth, right? We don't have a lot of social safety nets here in the US. And so many people, that is their largest asset. So when a lot of people move to a city, housing prices go up in response to that. That also generally means the valuation of a homeowner's property goes up. That can mean that your property taxes go up as well. Depending on the homeowner's situation, that can have a really dire impact. But if someone is not able to pay that, that could mean eventually losing their home.
All this pushing the people to live in the very bad areas. The persecution is a lot with the police.
It's extremely dangerous for immigrants of mixed status families. One of the reasons they're not asking for help is because of how anti-immigrant Texas has gotten.
The Texas-Mexico border is making national headlines on multiple fronts today.
The law would allow local and state law enforcement to arrest people who they believe crossed into Texas illegally.
Bastrop Sheriff says a weekend operation that resulted in deportations has nothing to do with immigration.
Right outside of Austin, it's extremely dangerous for immigrants of mixed status families. So they're like renting apartments that are outside of their budget because they fear leaving Austin. So it's for them, it's particularly difficult.
We don't feel our community like it was. It's not friendly like it was. The community never be the same love, the same family. Never be the same. Never be the same. Because our city sell us and pushing us like disposal, like trash.
The ones that are ready to go, they're gone. But the ones that do want to stay, they have to fight. And that's what's going on in Dove Springs type stuff. Like my grandma needs to sell a house and she's getting phone calls. They're offering her $100,000 or $95,000. Should she take it? Like, no, that house is worth $275,000. I mean, it's Eric Vega. I'm a realtor, but I mean, I don't call myself Realtor Eric. I sell a lot of houses in Dove Springs, or to people from Dove Springs that are moving out. I had no plans ever being in real estate. I didn't even know I could do that.
I gotta put my phone number on there. Oh, it's on there.
We didn't see people come and tell us, you got job opportunities, you got this, you got, and if they did, we can't relate to them. Like, man, what are you talking about? We know you don't live here, you don't look like us, you fixing to go back to Westlake when we're done with this speech. And we know that.
Oh, yeah. And this person right here that's selling this home, I've known him since I was 12. I played baseball with him. His dad used to coach me.
That's kind of my thing. People can relate to me out there. Even if we don't know each other, just the fact that I grew up here, that's why my phone rings so much. Then I started seeing the ugly part of the game. I see them getting taken advantage of. Homes aren't getting upgraded, you know, but then that brings up property value, and the house next door that can't afford the upgrades, there goes their property value. They're like lost and stressed because they're starting to see like, man, I cannot afford to stay here no more. The realtors, they're representing buyers that are gonna be the ones that, you know, hey, this person here has been there for 30 years and, you know, they might take 100 grand. Let's offer them 100 grand.
Have you had people come up and like leave flyers and knock on doors?
Oh, yes, yes. I buy your house cash. I buy your house. We are developed. We want to buy your house. We have interest to buy your house. Really? Why you don't went far away and Bastrop and buy lawn and make houses over there? Why coming to push us out? Leave me alone.
If it starts with a 1, it's completely unrealistic. There's nothing in Austin that starts with a 1. It's gotta have a 2 in front of it. But 100 grand to a 65-year-old person, they bought these houses for 30 grand back in '85. You know, they'll take it. They'll take it, but in reality, you're missing out on another 150. And it blows their mind, like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, that's what your house is worth. And then they get away with this because people are uneducated. They're uneducated, they're intimidated. One thing I know about the older Hispanics, like 60, 70, they don't want no smoke. They don't want no confrontation with nobody. Like, they feel everybody is the police. You can go over there just with a nice looking suit, bring you a tablet and a computer, and you start talking big words. You can make these people think they don't have no choice when they have all the choices in the world. And people do that, and they do it with a smile on their face. Like, man, I don't know, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Man, this is slow. If I had a house out there in Dove Springs 6 years ago and someone would come, hey man, I give you 120 grand for it, man, sold. Get it right now. I would have sold it. They would have got me. I just wish there was more education. No one told us about home ownership back then. No one told us about equity. So I found that as kind of my little niche. Like, man, I can help these people that I've known my whole life. Like, make sure y'all get top dollar. You don't get bamboozled at your house, because they'll do it. They'll do it.
Like noon, it's noon time. Long story short,
I guess we should scoot up because we're number 2.
Oh, come on, let's go. Go, you lead the way.
Oh, I don't know where I'm leading to. Okay. Okay, good, because I was like,
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Fuentes, Austin City Councilwoman. I'm here today to present a very special proclamation for our displacement prevention community navigators and to also provide certificates of recognition. These community navigators are a dedicated and passionate group who know the effects of displacement in our communities firsthand. And so it is my privilege to be able to thank them in person for their work and to celebrate all the contributions that they've made in our community and to continue to publicly commit to my support for this program so that we can have this program continue on. Let's give a round of applause.
Yeah, I don't know what Bluebonnet does. That one's in Kyle, right? Because a lot of people with like housing vouchers are going out there now. It's cheaper, but then when they need utilities, I'm like, like the Navigator team, we attended a proclamation where we were awarded a city award I wasn't sure what to expect. And I was just up like, okay, sure, I'll attend. So we're actually close to the end of the pilot program. It looks like the program has support to continue, but we're not really sure on the timeline. I don't have the best feelings about it. It makes me nervous for the people that, maybe heard about the program and they finally want to give it a chance, or maybe they need assistance and then no one's going to be here.
You can think about the affordability of housing in two ways. It's either bringing the cost of housing down or increasing people's income or access to money.
I'll call to order the meeting of the Austin City Council. We will hear speakers both virtual and in person on our agenda items.
The city is trying a couple things to get at both of those. The city of Austin now has a guaranteed income program. It's relatively small. It houses about 100 families. Rents are actually coming down. They're down about 6 to 8%, depending on what numbers you look at. The city council has made some zoning changes recently with the intent of allowing builders to build more. Historically, because of the zoning regulations, you could really only build a single family home on one piece of land, generally a relatively large piece of land. They have made those changes again with the hope that people will build more, and then hopefully prices will continue to go down. So it's really about how can we ensure that people are earning more, especially lower income folks. How can they get access to capital? And then how can we continue to bring down the cost of housing and ensure that people aren't spending half of their monthly paycheck on rent?
Oftentimes we think about, demography as destiny, but really, it really depends on what we do today because it can have really long-term impacts on our communities in the future.
It requires people to get involved, to speak about advocating for their homes. We cannot do it one person at a time. It has to be a unity between residents, organizations, including getting involved with the city.
I don't know where we're going to be in 10 years. Hopefully we're in the fight. There's community groups in Montauk, there's community groups in East Austin. They're in the fight, and they're swinging. It almost seems like nobody's listening. I really feel like our area is a target. It's difficult.
Housing is so personal. Not only is there the stress of the financial side of housing, but potentially losing your housing or having to move can be so much more traumatic because you could be losing much more than just a home, right? And for many people, it's a community, it's a neighborhood, it's history. And that's something I think a lot about in housing reporting.
Sí, trabajarle a ella
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Ándele, gracias. Gracias.
Dicen que hay ayudas aquí, pero por más que hablo aquí, hablo allá, no he encontrado ayudas. Y ese dinero pues tiene que salir. Y yo le diría a toda la gente que somos guerreros, tenemos que salir adelante, aunque la luz de cara adentro, tenemos que salir a trabajar y pues ponernos en las manos de Dios y salir adelante. Yo qué diera por quedarme aquí dormida, acostada, qué paz. Pero tengo que trabajar.
It is strange to see people leave, like, man, why are you leaving? But at the same time, I understand that we're grown. It's not only the money part, it's just the surroundings. Like it's not the same no more. I just wish there was more education. If you're ready to sell, this is what you look out for, you know, because you're gonna get got. And it happens so often. You've been here 30 years. You fought hard for this house, and you sitting here telling me you're okay with this other guy making some money off it? Ain't no way. If they want to make money, you just got to do it on the bones that we leave, because this is your house.
I was blessed to have a place and that we weren't left on the street. I'm thankful for Section 8. I just want to bring awareness how hard it is with this program to move. A lot of it is them trying to get, higher rent. We can't do that, so we got to go. Where do we keep going? We're kind of just throwing away Austinites. My dream house is to have a really nice backyard. I love to do art. I want a little art studio. I want to be able to get up, have my coffee, and go do my art. I like to be like the community mom where the kids come over and they have snacks, and to just have something that I can call mine, that nobody can come and say, hey, we don't want you here this year, you gotta go, or something where that you can know that it's permanent and it's yours.
Should I just tell the rec if they want any of the... I don't know if they want this.
So we are at the end of our pilot program. Today is actually the last day.
Okay. So then let's take half of these.
I think next week I'm still probably going to be in my mind like, oh, I need to get ready to go to my shift there. But there's not going to be a shift there anymore. I think they've made a plan and they would like for us to come back, but nothing's really yet set in stone. I definitely think there's gonna be a huge gap there. All of a sudden we were here, we were in their communities, we were trying to get the word out, and now we're gone. What really keeps me going is my family. Whenever I think about these families, I think of my own parents who came here in the 80s, very limited English. They built a life for themselves, raised myself and my siblings, and they've hit a lot of milestones with hard work. I just wish somebody was around when they were here to help them out and navigate the system. Because yes, there's a lot of resources here in Austin, but the system is very hard to navigate if you don't know. So I really want to keep that family-friendly neighborhood feeling alive.
Yeah.
I think what keeps me going is the families. When I think about all the frustrations about the lack of funding and all the accessibility issues that need to be addressed, I just think about the few families that we have talked to, like at 7 p.m. And I wonder if we wouldn't have been there, would they have kept their electricity? Would they have had food for another week? So that's what keeps me wanting to, so it keeps me going.
No, it's great. It's great. I will say we'll get you mad.
This has been my home, and it's very unfortunate that I'm seeing it change because of developers very quickly. One of the biggest things that I advocate for is immigrant rights and immigrant people. So I want to make sure those people stay safe. So that's why I continue to do. Because I know Austin has a lot to work for, or a lot of work to do to be able to make it safe for communities, but it's a lot better than a lot of places in Texas. So that's kind of why I just want to make sure my community, my people stay safe, as well as the immigrant community.
The work of the navigators is really important because we bridge the gap in a lot of places that people didn't know that needed to be filled. I've always been an underdog and I've always come out fighting, right? So I love when I work with an individual who's also considered an underdog. I see them walk out with self-confidence, self-worth, and I'm like, all right, you go. Because that's what I feel I was put on this earth for a purpose, and that's my purpose, is to serve people.
It is, I feel like, bittersweet. Families are struggling. And I think that that's something that we know, but until you see it, you don't really like see what that means, you know.
Texas, you get lost in 7874444. Dub Springs, Texas, you get lost. We swinging on Vogues through the south side of Austin. Dub Springs, Texas, you get lost in. We swinging on Vogues through the south side of Austin.
Support for this program comes from Roxanne Elder and Scott Borders.